My name is Sumita Mukherjee, and I live in Australia in Sydney. I work as a senior engineering manager in Atlassian. I moved to Australia 6.5 years back. I was in Pune, India before this, and working with Symantec for 11 years. I think what interests me the most for APIs is that it creates immense opportunity. There's continuous learning opportunity, continuous opportunity to innovate. And with AI, it's becoming more and more powerful by the day. I think I was very lucky to have worked with the best of leaders in the industry. So, in my initial days in my career, it was a lot of learning. I had really strong mentors, both male and female, where I could, learn from them. They created a lot of pathway, and then those opportunities, I just said yes to whatever opportunity came my way. I held myself back for quite some time because I was like not a natural public speaker. But then what I realized is that if I don't say yes, I'll never be able to do it. Public speaking is something which doesn't come naturally to me, but with practice and a lot of mentorship, I kind of now I'm pretty, I wouldn't say proficient, but pretty comfortable with it. I've got really strong mentors who have helped me. One of them, the most recent one, we had a 3-day workshop hosted by Women in API. It's a continuous journey where you continuously put yourself out there and do the next one and then the next one. It's just practice and saying yes. I think the most important thing that was holding me back was whatever I wanted to speak about, I felt that it's already out there and everybody knows about it, and it'll be like really boring. Everybody knows much more on those topics than me. And like I just felt that I have nothing to say, like, as in, like, if I have a topic in mind, that topic is out there, everybody knows much more than me. I think how I overcame it is that to think in terms of the unique perspective that I would be adding to that topic. That was a game changer, that thought process where I have a topic, say, for example, AI or diversity or whatever topic, right? Like, it's out there, everybody knows about it, many people are expert in those subjects, but my own unique perspective is my own. So sharing that is important. When I started having that mental shift of how I look at this, it actually helped me. I'm actually right now reading a book written by Alison Fraggle called The Likeable Badass. They put in a very strong message where she's saying that, you are the only person who can tell your own story. If you do not come out there and represent yourself, or even put what you know out there, nobody else will do that. And I think public speaking and going to conferences and representing yourself, your company, or your team out there does tell a story about yourself, your knowledge. So that was the biggest benefit for me, because I was not a very big talking about myself kind of person before. Networking is important. The main thing is not only being out there, but it's also around helping people to understand what you know, what you're an expert of, is important. With internet, obviously we are all connected, and if you don't brand yourself, if you don't speak at, like, just saying I know this topic, or I can do this, might help, but it would be more powerful if you go out there and talk about something which you know or which you believe in, right? So definitely for advancing somebody's career, I think this is a good accelerator. For example, there are lots of connections that I built when I in these conferences, and which eventually kind of like then we again connect for other things, and it kind of like creates a chain of connections, which definitely helps you create that presence in this tech industry. So it's very important for everyone. I think for women it's all the more important. I would tell her that if you have facts to tell about yourself, it's not bragging, and it would help you and start speaking about your achievements more explicitly, and start speaking for yourself. Self promote. It's not a bad thing. It's not boasting. Put out what you have there, and create those connections. The first thing is to create that intent. Don't overanalyze, because the moment you start thinking of, if I do this, then what if people laugh at me, or what if I get a question? If you overanalyze, it will never happen. So take the first step. When you submit for a call for paper, for example, or even submit for any panel discussion, take the first step of putting your name out there, and then the rest will eventually follow. Because if you sign up for something, you will eventually do it. I've always practiced that in my life, for not only public speaking, even coming to Australia, taking a big job and leaving my comfort zone. I've always said yes, and the rest will follow. So yeah, don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid of fear of failure. The first talk might not be that good, but you have to kind of start signing up for it and saying yes. And I always go by Grace Upper's quote, where a ship in port is safe, but that's not what ships are made for. I would encourage everybody, especially women in tech, to take that first step, take a risk. You don't know what you can do unless you take the first step.